Good afternoon. I'm Joel Franklin. Welcome to today's JLG webinar series, Enrich Your Summer Reading Program. Today, Nick Glass, the founder of TeachingBooks.net, joins Deborah Ford for a dive into creative ways to promote summer reading programs, from supporting student choices using recommended book lists to modeling book talks after Meet the Author book readings, and much more. Please join the conversation on Twitter. You can tweet us at JR Library Guild and use the hashtag JLGWebinars. If you have any questions or comments, you can send those in at any time via the red Q&A box. And it's hard to believe that summer is literally weeks away. And Deb, I imagine libraries right now are gearing up for their summer reading programs.
They absolutely are, Joel. They probably have been gearing up for quite some time. And so today we want to talk about two of those summer reading programs and the resources that you as teachers and librarians might use to promote them. The first program we're going to talk about is sponsored by the Collaborative Summer Library Program, and you'll find it at csplreads.org, where Kwame Alexander is the what would you say he is, Nick? The ambassador?
Sounds right. The reading champion of the summer
reading champion
CSLP program.
Right. And so this is actually a library summer reading program that's been in effect since 1987. It was founded in Minnesota by, I should say Minnesota because I just came from there. Minnesota. 10 regional library systems got together and said, let's make some really great summer reading programs, resources available from early literacy all the way to adults. And so they've been doing that since '87. We're also going to talk today about another reading program called iReadProgram.org. And they've actually been in existence since 1981. They were founded in Illinois by the Illinois Library Association. And you can participate in that program as well. And so this summer, their theme is Reading by Design, which is big ideas that lead to creative responses. And the Collaborative Summer Library Program is building, now my mind just went blank, building a better world. And so they're both very similar because they're talking about being creative and thinking outside the box and becoming who you are and what you want to be and exploring and all those kind of things. And so today we have Nick Glass, the founder and executive director of TeachingBooks.net, joining us to talk about some of the resources that are available through TeachingBooks.net for summer reading. So thanks for joining us today, Nick.
Oh, delighted to be here, Deb. Thank you. And thanks to everyone at JLG for all the support in putting this together. It's a lot of work to host one of these webinars, and you guys have a marvelously smooth and successful system. So thank you for the opportunity to join you. Those programs, the CSLP and the iRead, are used in pretty much most public libraries in this country, some version of those. So most people will see either the Big Fun or the Build a Better World program in whichever library you're in. And if you're in a school, you might be tying into those, or you might be building your own program. And what we wanted to do today for everybody was to share some ways to join and enrich your summer reading programs with really great titles, as Joel said, that will come from you, Deb, and all your amazing knowledge of books, and some resources from Teaching Books, which supplements and enriches these conversations about texts. Teaching Books is a library of materials about the books. There are no books on TeachingBooks.net. That's really important to understand. So what I'm going to be bringing to this conversation today are different types of resources that can expand the conversation to get people thinking and sharing programming strategies with books, but also integrating in online multimedia materials. And everybody's going to have the chance to do that. We're going to make sure every attendee has complete access to every single resource that we're talking about today to try to support Build a Better World and Reading by Design, the iRead, and the CSLP programs. So, Deb, why don't you start with some of those great books that you wanted to share?
I will. Thanks, Nick. So, again, we're doing a K-12 kind of thing, so let's start with the little ones. we decided to kind of highlight some of the books that both of these reading programs have selected, and you'll see on our slides today which of those programs features it. But of course, it's summer reading, and the whole point of summer reading is to avoid the summer slide. And so the more books you can get into the hands of these kids, the better off actually we all will be. But the first book I want to talk about is Float. It's a wordless book by written and illustrated by Daniel Miyares for our pre-K to kindergarten little group. And it's this beautiful story about what happens when it rains. And there's a big pond, out there in the street, and it's the story of a little boy in his yellow coat, and he builds a newspaper boat and floats it in the boat and does what most little boys do or actually little girls I know, in the puddles. Puddles! Yay! And you could connect it to the book Puddles. I finally remembered the name of the other book. It just came out last year. So if you choose Float, then you might also choose Puddles, which is about the same age group. Or if you want to go from the origami boat in Float, you might bump it right into Morigami, which also came out in 2016. Another book for this age group that you could include in your summer reading program is, ironically, our Newbery, Last Stop on Market Street. And I can remember, Nick, I was with you when that happened?
Yeah.
Usually we're together, and we're just, everybody went, that's the Newbery? And ta-da, it was the Newbery. So Last Stop on Market Street, Matt De La Pena, and illustrated by Christian Robinson, is a great story of CJ and his Nana. And CJ's like a lot of little kids. He's got 1,000 questions for Nana, and it's Sunday, and it's after church. And Nana, how come we got to wait for the bus in all this wet? Nana, how come we don't got a car? How come we always got to go here after church? How come there's so much dirt? And don't you love, Nick, what she says? She says,
so timely and beautiful.
It is. Sometimes, CJ, when you're surrounded by dirt, you're a better witness to what's beautiful. And, and it just goes right into that building a better world, where in the case of Last Stop on Market Street, CJ and his Nana go every Sunday to a soup kitchen. We don't know where they're going. They're just on the bus. And finally they go to a part of town that's just not so great, and it's dirty, and it's not wealthy, and CJ doesn't understand why he's got to go down there. And then we see the difference that he and his Nana are making. And I think that's an important lesson for even our little ones to get.
Yeah, beauty can be found absolutely everywhere. What a great theme. And a gorgeous book, as you said. And it was illustrated and marvelously by Christian Robinson, who received recognitions for his work, and Matt De La Pena, as you mentioned, got the Newbery for his writing. And what teaching books can do is add, beyond the text, new ways for an adult to have a conversation with children about the book, and for children to get connected using various multimedia pieces. So you have a great book, such as Last Stop on Market Street, and what we want to do is enrich that programming to get you to help your staff and your library be more prepared to have this conversation, but also for the families and the students and the children themselves to have really great connections. So as you see on the screen on the right side, I'll try to make that a little bigger for you here. You'll see the different kinds of things that Teaching Books has. We have lesson plans and audio performances and book trailers and interviews with the author and the illustrator, and annotations and all kinds of various pieces to help you best understand this text. What I wanted to show you right now that would be a really nice way to introduce the text in a library and programming, or at home, or students on their own, are these video book trailers. So the video won't work very well over this web technology, but what you have here is a frame from this beautiful book trailer where actually the author, Matt De La Pena, and the illustrator, Christian Robinson, coincidentally, what do you know? They happen to meet at a bus stop, and one happens to be a picture of a writer of children's books, and the other happens to be an illustrator. And then they talk about what it's like to ride a bus and why they wrote this particular text. So you can get to meet the authors, illustrators, have a very brief, really lovely video piece. And these are the kinds of things that Teaching Books is trying to do, which is to enrich your connection to the books themselves. So that's what we're about, an example of how we might be able to take this great suggestion that you had, Deb, and bring it to life with multimedia.
Cool, because not everybody gets to have an author visit or an illustrator visit right at their library or in their classroom, and with teachingbooks.net, they can do that.
That's what we're trying to do.
Awesome, so awesome. Let's look at another book then. The Seventh Most Important Thing. So in The Seventh Most Important Thing, it's 1964, and a young boy named Arthur, and you can see this is for our middle grades. So we have a bad thing that happens in this story. But what happens is Arthur is grieving, and you find that out later, and you also find out why. But he throws a brick at the junk man, and it breaks his arm. We later find out that the junk man is James Hampton, who was an artist. He created amazing artworks that actually now are in the Smithsonian. But when Arthur is sent to court, instead of getting juvie like he thought he would, he gets sent to do a special kind of community service. He's going to work for the junk man. He's going to work for Mr. Hampton, and he's going to get 7 things to help Mr. Hampton make his art. And at first he doesn't understand, and he grumbles, and in the end he learns some really important life lessons while he's picking up cardboard and tinfoil and light bulbs and other things for Mr. Hampton. Another book that's recommended by our reading programs today, in both programs, Reading by Design for Elementary and Build a Better World in the area of children, is Jen Bryant and Melissa Sweet's A Splash of Red. This is the life and art of Horace Pippin. And so Horace Pippin was he was actually the grandson of a slave. And then in World War I, he became a soldier in World War I, but he got hit by a bullet in his shoulder and in his arm. Well, the thing about Horace Pippin was he loved art. He loved to draw. He loved to paint. He always did. He even painted in World War I in the trenches. The guys would get him just to draw something. Just draw something, Horace. Draw something. Paint something. But when he got back, his right arm was useless. And did he give up? No. Did he quit? No. He took his good arm and used it to push his right arm until he could make it a little stronger, and he continued to produce amazing art. N.C. Wyeth even gave him a one-man show. So it's another powerful book of art and overcoming tragedy and not just giving up when things don't work out, which is another good lesson, I think, for our elementary kids to learn.
So many phenomenal things in books, and I love hearing you talk about the books, Deb, but it is a extraordinary text, and what a great team these two have been also, Jen Bryant and Melissa Sweet, in bringing really thoughtful nonfiction biographies to young readers. That's great how you described it. I thought I'd point out examples of how to think about the seventh most important thing. We have great resources, of course, for the Horace Pippin text, but what I wanted to show you was just a little variety of the kinds of ways to use technology and online materials to enrich what you're doing. One of the ways to do that is to play audio and to listen to what does a book sound like. Imagine introducing a book in your library programming or with a student, or for a student just to choose based on their own experiences by listening to the audio excerpt. So what Teaching Books has is in one spot all of the audio excerpts from all the different producers, so you can hear what it's like. I thought I'd play that for you a little bit.
We need to have a talk, his mom said, sticking her head into the bedroom before he'd had time to unpack or get changed. Now, Arthur sighed. Couldn't he have 5 minutes to himself? I don't want to let it wait.
And so forth. So you have just 3 minutes of the audio performance from the audiobook. And your libraries might have the audiobook as well, but if not, can this help someone who's reading the book begin to understand what it sounds like? How does that book play out, and who are those characters? You really get to understand the characters different when you listen to them. The other thing we have are a number of discussion guides and lesson plans from all around the web that we vet and authorize and make sure that they're going to help change the way you relate to that text. For example, for this book, the State Library of Ohio has on it a toolkit for using this book, and they have questions. They have a large PDF file with lots of questions and vocabulary and discussion lists and all kinds of materials to help. And so Teaching Books has already put into one place all of the materials for whichever book you're using. So this is what it's like to enrich your conversations and connections to the books using multimedia. So Deb is talking here about really great books, and she'll go on in a second to talk about some teen books, and then you have the online connections that come with that. That's what we're trying to do.
Cool. So let's talk about teen books. When I was looking at what we should talk about, the list is huge. I mean, it's really, really long. So this is kind of the tip of the iceberg, but they have all three of the Marches, March Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, and of course, this year was just the most amazing thing with March Book 3. Have you seen a copy of the book with all the medals on it, Nick?
I've only seen 3 or 4 medals. I know it won so far 7 major recognitions, most recently the School Library Journal Battle of the Books even, let alone the National Book Award and the Prince and the Coretta Scott King and many, many others. It's unbelievable what that book.
I know.
It didn't get an honor. It won as the ultimate winning text by all these different juries that don't talk to each other.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it just was amazing that, I mean, the chances of all of those committees coming up with the same book is astounding.
Yep.
Because they all have different, criteria as well. And so this
important book.
Right. And not only that, it's a graphic novel. And so all of our fans of graphic novel, were like, yay, finally we got some serious recognition. Though we have had some recognition of graphic novels in the past, but not so loudly, I guess, perhaps as this particular book. And John Lewis, bless his heart, is just the most gracious man.
I've never gotten to meet him.
I haven't met him personally, but I've been close enough to see his interactions with the people who've come up to him, because I was, I didn't want a crowd. But he has been just so gracious and appreciative of the accolades that he's gotten with this book and the importance of this book and civil rights and helping kids know where we've been and where we still need to go.
A beautiful graphic trilogy. And just so you know, his wife is a librarian, which probably doesn't surprise anybody.
Yeah. On Jackie Woodson. So Jackie is also on the Build a Better World on the teen list. We have it at Junior Library Guild in the middle school category C for advanced readers in grades 6 to 9. It's a novel in verse, and I was, I've always appreciated Jackie Woodson, but now I feel bonded. Do you know why I feel bonded?
Why?
Because she was born in Ohio, which is where I live now, and then she moved to South Carolina, which is where I grew up. We have a slight little disconnect because she went to New York, and I've only visited New York, though I do love it a lot. But in Jackie's story, we see what it was like for her to grow up and how much, even as a child, she loved to write, and she loved to think and write stories and listen to stories and the importance of storytelling. And just what a powerful book. And honestly, we sold out of this book at JLG like fast. Gone. Just fast, gone.
And you guys pick these books before they come out, which is part of the amazing work that you all do.
It is amazing. It is amazing because the editors, Susan and her folks, her team up in New York, they get these manuscripts so early and lay them all out and literally do book reports for homework. I mean, that's their job. They do book reports. And they look at them and they figure out which are the best, and they choose them so many months before they get even reviewed by our sister company, the Horn Book or School Library Journal. And so Yeah, their track record's pretty amazing. Sometimes it's a little spooky, but I think they know what they're doing. So what kind of resources have you got for us for March and Brown Girl and other books like that?
Sure. Well, no matter what book you're reading, Teaching Books wants to have materials. There's a search box that you see on the top of the screen, and you can just enter in the title that you're after. And I'll show you also how to have resources in a little bit on any of the reading programs, on the Build a Better World and the iRead program as well. And so, but what we have for Brown Girl Dreaming are a number of amazing things. We have a vocabulary list where we have the example sentences, the word, the definition, but then the context in which it's used. So in this case, barren, and life is a barren field from the Langston Hughes poem that's referenced at the beginning of the book. And so you see all the vocabulary in context. We also have what we call Meet the Author book readings. And I think these are really beautiful for modeling book talks about what someone gets out of a text. In these cases, it's the author's purpose. At Teaching Books, we call authors pretty much every day and we say, why did you write that book? Can you share a little bit of the backstory behind that? And that could be used in how anybody can learn to practice book talking, whether you're a library staff or a student learning how to present a book of what they've read over the summer. Let me play a little bit of Jacqueline Woodson introducing how and why she wrote Brown Girl Dreaming.
Hi, this is Jacqueline Woodson, and I'm the author of Brown Girl Dreaming. I'm going to tell you a bit about how I came to write this book, and then I'll share an excerpt. I started writing Brown Girl Dreaming, which is a memoir, because I wanted to chronicle my coming of age as a writer. I knew from a really young age that I wanted to tell stories, and I wanted to tell the story of how the stories I used to tell became. So Brown Girl Dreaming is written in verse and family, self, writing.
Have you ever had someone ask you, Deborah, where do authors get their ideas?
I do. They ask me that all the time.
All the time.
And sometimes I know, and sometimes I have no idea.
Yeah, and so we decided to make it kind of our job to help answer that question over and over again for whatever book someone's interested in. We want to help them have that knowledge, and by calling the authors, we do that. For March, you asked what we did, and this was slightly different. We wanted to know, how do you create a history of the civil rights movement in a graphic format, and how do you work with someone of the stature as Congressman Lewis? And so what we did was we worked with the person who was responsible for the illustrations and the person who was responsible for taking Congressman Lewis's words and putting them into a graphic format. And we had them write a post about what they did, and this is what we called our guest blog. Every month we do these, and we publish them in one of your sister publications in Curriculum Connections that School Library Journal does. And this was originally published there. And here you have them talking about how they put these books together. By the way, Deb, here's a picture of March Book 3 with 5 of the 7 seals.
Wow.
That it earned. So that's kind of what we're doing with those particular texts. And in general, what we're trying to do with summer reading is to help you bring to life whatever books you're doing. If you're programming and you're in a public library and you're using the Build a Better World or the iRead programs, we have links directly to all the resources for the early literacy, the children, the pre-K, and the teen bibliographies that have been created by these programs, by the CSLP, the Collaborative Summer Library Programming, and from iRead. What we also have is the ability for every single student to build their own summer reading list. And what that can mean is that a student can say, here's what I want to read, and then be able to have all the resources for those particular texts. So I decided that I, Nikki, want to read graphic books this summer, and so I picked a few. I picked 4 in this case. American-Born Chinese, March, El Defo, and Roller Girl are the 4. You can't, now it's probably buffering as I show you that, but I'll go back up to the top. But then what you see here is there's 109 different resources, 20 lesson plans, 19 videos associated with this, with these titles that I chose just for myself. I have one link on Teaching Books that stores all those for me, and then I can even give my teachers or my friends or students a little slice and dice bookmark that has the direct link to all the resources about my books, and no one needs to sign in. I can give these bookmarks to any single person I want. My teacher, you can do this in a public library setting, and you can have your patrons build these lists for the books that those teenagers want to read, for example, and then give each other their bookmarks for what they're after. So what we want to do is to help support student choices and give them materials about those texts. So you could use the great text that you're choosing at JLG. You can use the programs such as CSLP or iRead, or every person can build their own lists. What we want to do is to make it as clear as possible for everybody to have the resources about what they're interested in.
That's so awesome. And to help you out there listening, make sure you have an easy access to those things. We've updated Junior Library Guild's Summer Reading Pinterest board. And so right there you'll see a link. You'll see the Teaching Books logo. You can click right there. It'll take you right to the summer reading program, resources. There's also a link to the 2 different summer reading programs that we talked about. There are ideas about how you can promote your summer reading. For example, I love how Nick talked about the audiobooks, because the audio and the video, that's a really good way to get kids to want to read. And, once they hear an author's voice and they find out the backstory, then they've got a connection to that book. Maybe those of you who are in, especially in a school library or in a classroom, set up some sort of beach area and let kids, when they finish, to go sit in the beach and read at the beach. Maybe kids need their own books. So maybe you could have a book swap. Everybody brings in books and you just swap. And just remember to bring some extras, because not everybody will remember to bring a book. Maybe you can use technology and ask your kids to, in their summer reading, to have somebody take a selfie or you take a picture, and maybe you give a prize to the most unusual place to read during the summer and post those up. You could use Adobe Spark or even Typorama and create an info pic. And so maybe they put their favorite book or the first line of their book. Maybe they could blog about it. Maybe you could use connect your summer reading program to your makerspace. There's also on your handout. And so right now I'm going to just remind you that there is a handout for today. So on your screen there should be a folder that says resources. If you click right there, you'll get the handout with tips for promoting your summer reading, links that Nick was talking about today, a link to the free trial that Nick's offering you, links to the books and the resources. So be sure you download that. And then your certificate, of course, is also in the folder called Certificate.
Yeah, those are great things. Did you want to cover some of the Pinterest stuff briefly?
Let me hang on. Just remind people that as a Junior Library Guild member, you have access to everything we sell. And so if you go to Awards and List and Themes List and Summer Reading, you'll see many of these books are already on clearance. I mean, there were a bunch of books that were $5. So it's a perfect time to get more books. And Nick, you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that 2 things. One, when you sign into Teaching Books, you'll see that the way you get to Teaching Books, you go to teachingbooks.net/summer2017, and we will send you that link, and it is in the handout. But when you go there, you'll also see that there's a link under resources for you that will feature all of the titles that Deb talked about today. 192 resources, 26 lesson plans, 34 videos just for these books. So I wanted to make sure you knew that all those materials are there. So we have all of these instructional materials for the books that Deb mentioned today, as well as anything you're looking up, and the trial will be in your email. That's really what I wanted to share today. So it's
Wow.
a pleasure to share strategies for hopefully enriching the library work that all of you are doing.
Well, and don't
That's
forget
great.
my favorite thing about teachingbooks.net. Besides the Meet the Author movies, my favorite thing is the audio name pronunciation, like the guy who's our champion for one of the reading programs.
Right. I don't know if we have time for that, though, Deb, but there is a great recording of Kwame Alexander sharing the story of his name.
Awesome. And so don't forget to look for the audio author illustrator pronunciations. Joel, take us home.
All right, that's great. Thank you very much, Nick. Wanted to let everyone know you can join us next time. It's May 23rd at 3 o'clock Eastern when Kaylee Hanlon, she'll be back to chat with Deb about fun books to read this summer. Sure to help you prioritize that pile you have on your nightstand. This is a K through 12 webcast, so everyone will want to attend. If you can't make the date, go ahead and register anyway. We'll send you a link to the video archive of the webinar after the event. Also, you can check our website after the webcast for the recap blog post. You'll find a list of all the books with links to their book detailed pages and the amazing resources we heard about today. Thanks again to our special guest, Nick Glass, for spending some time with us. Thanks to you, our listeners, for supporting literacy in the work you do in all the summer reading programs. Be sure to ask your account rep about all the books and categories, or you can contact the sales department for more information. You can contact Teaching Books for more information about having access to that site. Please stick around quickly after this for a quick survey. And again, tomorrow you'll receive an automatic email regarding today's webinar with a link. You can watch the archive and print your certificate of attendance after 10 minutes of viewing. Until next time, thanks again for joining us, and happy reading.